Hello, sleepy genius. The day has asked enough of you. Your thoughts have traveled far, and now it is time to let them settle like dust after a long wind. Tonight, you need only listen. Let the world grow soft around you, and rest in the quiet company of Earth's hidden wonders. You are safe here. From lakes that literally catch fire to temple walls aligned with stars no one should have known, and extraterrestrial visitors described in ancient texts with impossible precision. Tonight, we explore the earth beneath your feet, the air around you, the forces that shaped continents and carved oceans. Close your eyes and feel the ground holding you. It has stories to tell. Before our journey begins, if these curious facts help you rest and leave a weary day behind, a simple like or subscribe helps others drift here too, one soul at a time. Please, share your thoughts below. Now, let's begin. There is a subterranean ocean larger than all surface oceans combined, hidden 700 kilometers beneath your feet. Picture the ringwoodite layer, a band of crystalline rock existing under pressures so extreme that water molecules become trapped within the mineral structure itself. In 2014, seismologist Stephen Jacobson at Northwestern University analyzed seismic waves passing through Earth's mantle and detected signatures indicating massive water reserves. His team estimated this transition zone holds approximately 3 times the volume of all surface oceans, locked within rock that squeezes water into its atomic lattice. The discovery came from studying a rare diamond that formed 400 miles underground and journeyed to the surface, carrying a tiny sample of water-rich ringwoodite inside. Graham Pearson at the University of Alberta confirmed the finding, revealing that Earth's true oceans lie not on the surface, but in stone. This reminds us that the ground beneath holds mysteries deeper than any trench we have explored. Ancient Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the heavens and brought knowledge of agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy to early humans. Imagine clay tablets pressed with wedge-shaped marks, each symbol a doorway into a worldview where gods walked among people and taught them to measure time and tend the earth. The texts, dating to around 2500 BCE, speak of Nibiru, a planet with an orbital period of 3,600 years, and travelers who came from it. Zecharia Sitchin, a controversial researcher, spent decades translating these tablets and arguing they describe actual extraterrestrial contact. Though mainstream scholars interpret them as mythology, the Sumerians mapped planets invisible to the naked eye and calculated lunar cycles with startling accuracy. This reminds us that ancient minds looked upward with the same hunger for answers that drives us still. Antarctica holds 70% of Earth's fresh water frozen in ice. Imagine a continent larger than Europe, covered in ice sheets that in some places reach nearly 3 miles thick. The ice is so heavy it has pressed the land beneath it below sea level. Scientists drilling ice cores in 2004 extracted samples that contained air bubbles from 800,000 years ago, tiny time capsules of ancient atmosphere. In that ice is a record of every volcanic eruption, every shift in climate, every breath the planet took before humans walked upright. This reminds us that water remembers, holding history in its frozen stillness. There are lakes that literally catch fire and kill without warning. Imagine standing beside Lake Nyos in Cameroon on an August evening in 1986, watching the water's surface ripple quietly. Beneath that calm, carbon dioxide had been accumulating for centuries in the volcanic crater, dissolving into the deep water under immense pressure. On August 21st, something triggered a sudden release, and a cloud of CO2 erupted from the lake like an invisible tsunami. The gas, heavier than air, rolled down the surrounding valleys at nearly 60 miles per hour, suffocating everything in its path. Within minutes, 1,700 people and 3,500 livestock died in their sleep, with no burns, no visible wounds, just the silent theft of oxygen. Scientists from the United States Geological Survey arrived weeks later to find an eerie silence, entire villages where life had simply stopped. To think that beneath beautiful waters, the earth holds breath it sometimes refuses to keep. The Amazon rainforest produces 20% of the world's oxygen. Consider the canopy stretching green and dense for more than 2 million square miles, a forest so vast it creates its own weather. Trees here can live for over 1,000 years, their roots intertwined with fungi that connect entire groves in networks scientists call the Wood Wide Web. Research from the University of British Columbia in 1997 revealed that mother trees share nutrients with younger saplings through these fungal threads, feeding their offspring even when diseased or dying. A single hectare can contain more species of trees than exist in all of North America. It is humbling to know that forests think, communicate, and care for their young beneath the soil. The Dropa stones, allegedly discovered in 1938 in the Bayong Kariula Mountains between China and Tibet, are granite discs measuring about 9 inches in diameter with a hole in the center and spiral grooves containing tiny hieroglyphs. Imagine archaeologist Chipu Tei entering a cave system where 716 stone discs lay among skeletal remains of beings roughly 4 feet tall with disproportionately large skulls. According to the account, Professor Sum Unnui of Beijing Academy deciphered the grooves in 1962, revealing a story of the Dropa people whose spacecraft crashed 12,000 years ago, stranding them on Earth. Skeptics note that no major museum holds these stones. No peer-reviewed papers confirm their existence, and the story may be an elaborate hoax originating from a 1962 German magazine article. Yet the tale persists, feeding our desire to believe that ancient mysteries might bridge the gap between Earth and stars. There are creatures that live without light, without oxygen, and without depending on the sun's energy in any way. Imagine descending 3 kilometers into a South African gold mine, past every layer where sunlight or surface water penetrates, into stone that has been sealed for millions of years. In 2008, researchers led by Dylan Chivian at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory discovered Desulfuridis, a daxavator, a bacterium thriving in complete isolation. This organism generates energy not from photosynthesis or organic matter, but from radioactive uranium decay in the surrounding rock, which splits water molecules into hydrogen for fuel. It possesses the smallest known genome capable of independent life, requiring no other species to survive. The species name comes from Jules Verne's journey to the center of the Earth, meaning journey's audacious traveler, perfectly describing life that ventured where nothing should exist. Scientists believe similar organisms might inhabit Mars or the icy moons of Jupiter, living on radiation alone. In a sense, life finds a way even when every door appears closed. Lightning strikes Earth approximately 100 times every second. Picture the sky splitting open, 50,000 degrees hotter than the surface of the sun, a channel of plasma connecting cloud to ground. Each bolt carries up to 1 billion volts of electricity and travels at 1/3 the speed of light. In 1752, Benjamin Franklin proved lightning was electricity by flying a kite in a thunderstorm, a discovery that could have killed him. Modern satellites detect roughly 16 million lightning storms across the planet each year, most of them over tropical rainforests and Central Africa. To think that the air itself can catch fire, that the sky holds such violent beauty in every storm. Puma Punku in Bolivia features stone blocks cut with such precision that they fit together without mortar, their surfaces smooth as glass and edges sharp as if machined. Consider kneeling beside an andesite block weighing over 100 tons, running your fingers along angles that meet at exactly 90 degrees, carved from stone ranking 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, harder than iron tools the Tiwanaku people supposedly possessed. The site dates to approximately 536 CE, though some researchers argue it may be far older. H blocks and I blocks interlock in complex patterns, suggesting modular construction, and holes drilled through the stone are perfectly cylindrical and parallel. Engineer Christopher Dunn has argued that such precision requires diamond-tipped tools or methods we do not associate with pre-Columbian cultures. This reminds us that expertise can vanish as thoroughly as the civilizations that held it, leaving only questions carved in stone. The moon is slowly abandoning Earth, retreating centimeter by centimeter into deeper space. Picture the moon 4.5 billion years ago, looming so close it appeared 15 times larger than today, creating tides that swept miles inland. Tidal forces create friction between Earth's oceans and seafloor, gradually slowing our planet's rotation. To conserve angular momentum in the Earth-Moon system, the moon absorbs this energy and drifts outward at precisely 3.8 centimeters per year. Laser ranging experiments conducted since 1969, using reflectors placed by Apollo astronauts, measure this recession with millimeter accuracy. Scientists at the University of Wisconsin in 2018 calculated that 1.4 billion years ago, an Earth day lasted only 18 hours and the moon orbited much closer. In approximately 600 million years, the moon will appear too small to completely cover the sun, ending the era of total solar eclipses forever. Future beings will never witness the cosmic coincidence we enjoy, where moon and sun appear exactly the same size in our sky. This reminds us that even celestial companionship is temporary, that all things drift apart given enough time. The Earth's core is as hot as the surface of the sun. Imagine standing at the center of the planet, where iron and nickel swirl in currents hotter than 5,000 degrees Celsius. This molten heart generates Earth's magnetic field, an invisible shield that protects all life from solar radiation. Scientists discovered in 1936 that seismic waves from earthquakes behave differently when passing through the core, revealing its liquid nature. Without this churning furnace buried 4,000 miles below your feet, the solar wind would strip away our atmosphere, leaving Earth as barren as Mars. In a sense, we live because the planet's heart still beats, ancient and impossibly hot. The Sahara Desert was covered in forests and lakes 6,000 years ago. Consider what is now the largest hot desert on Earth, 3.5 million square miles of sand and stone, once green with acacia trees and flowing rivers. Cave paintings in Algeria from 8000 BCE show hippos, giraffes, and crocodiles living where now only camels survive. The shift happened as Earth's axis tilted slightly, changing rainfall patterns across North Africa. Archaeologists have found stone tools and pottery scattered across dunes, evidence of civilizations that fished and farmed where nothing grows today. This reminds us that even deserts were once gardens, and the Earth is always changing its face. There are lightning storms that never end, turning night into perpetual electrical daylight. Consider the mouth of the Catatumbo River, where it meets Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela, a precise geographic point where moisture-laden winds from the Caribbean collide with cold Andes air. This convergence creates the Catatumbo lightning, a phenomenon producing up to 280 lightning strikes per hour for up to 10 hours per night. The storm occurs approximately 300 nights per year, making it visible from 250 miles away and earning it the nickname Maracaibo Lighthouse among sailors. Researchers from the University of Andes in 2016 confirmed that methane from wetlands and oil deposits intensifies the electrical activity. The phenomenon produces more ozone than any other single location on Earth, and sailors have used it for navigation since the 16th century. Strangely, the lightning disappeared completely for 6 weeks in 2010. Causing local concern before resuming its eternal pattern. To think that one patch of sky refuses to go dark, burning with energy night after night. The Dogon people of Mali possess astronomical knowledge that seems impossible without telescopic observation, including detailed information about Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye. Consider French anthropologists Marcel Griol and Germain Dieterlen living among the Dogon in the 1930s and 1940s, learning through initiation about Sirius's companion star, its 50-year orbital period, and its extreme density, all accurate according to modern astrophysics. The Dogon call Sirius B, Po, Tolo, and describe it as composed of matter heavier than anything on Earth. A description that matches the reality of degenerate matter in white dwarfs. Skeptics note that Sirius B was discovered by Western astronomers in 1862 and suggest the Dogon may have learned this information from European visitors. But proponents argue the knowledge predates contact and forms part of ancient oral traditions. The Dogon also speak of the Namo, amphibious beings who came from the Sirius system to share wisdom. In a sense, whether their knowledge came from the stars or from later contamination, it reflects humanity's need to anchor understanding in something beyond ourselves. A single teaspoon of soil contains more organisms than there are humans on Earth. Picture the ground beneath your fingers, seemingly still and lifeless, actually teeming with billions of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and nematodes. 1 gram of rich garden soil can hold up to 10 billion bacterial cells from thousands of different species. Research from 2016 at the University of Colorado found that soil microbes communicate using chemical signals, forming colonies that work together to break down nutrients. These invisible creatures create the foundation for all terrestrial life, turning rock into earth, death into growth. It is humbling to walk knowing that kingdoms rise and fall in every footstep. Earth contains zones so hostile that even extremophile bacteria cannot survive their crushing depths. Imagine descending into the Mariana Trench, passing through the Hadal Zone where pressure reaches 1086 bars, equivalent to having 50 jumbo jets stacked on your thumbnail. At Challenger Deep, 10,994 meters below the surface. Filmmaker James Cameron's 2012 expedition found water so compressed it barely flows and temperatures hovering just above freezing. The pressure at this depth would crush human bones instantly, collapse lungs into nothingness. Marine biologist Douglas Bartlett from Scripps Institution of Oceanography discovered that even specialized amphipods struggle below 8,000 meters, their cellular proteins beginning to fail. Below 10,000 meters, life becomes nearly impossible as the energy required to maintain cellular structure exceeds what metabolism can provide. The Hadal Trenches represent Earth's closest approximation to the void of space. Underwater deserts where existence requires adaptations we barely comprehend. In a sense, our planet holds alien environments within itself, places as foreign as distant moons. There is a forest growing inside a cave so vast it generates its own weather systems and ecosystems. Picture Sun Dune Cave in Vietnam's Phong Ngoc Bang National Park, a subterranean chamber stretching 5 kilometers long, with sections reaching 200 meters high and 150 meters wide. British cavers Howard and Deb Limbert first explored it fully in 2009, discovering areas where the ceiling had collapsed millennia ago, allowing sunlight to pour in and create underground jungles. These light shafts support entire ecosystems with trees growing 30 meters tall, sustained by soil, water, and sunlight that found its way underground. The cave contains its own river, clouds that form near the ceiling, and stalagmites reaching 70 meters high, taller than most buildings. Temperature differences between the cave's depths and the Vietnamese surface create wind patterns and moisture cycles unique to this subterranean world. Local villagers knew of the entrance since the 1990s but feared the roaring sounds of the underground river. To think that beneath solid earth, nature builds cathedrals complete with forests, reminding us that wilderness exists in dimensions we forget to search. The oldest living tree is over 5,000 years old. Imagine a bristlecone pine growing in California's White Mountains, its trunk twisted by wind, its roots gripping stone. This tree, named Methuselah, was already ancient when the pyramids were built, already 1,000 years old when writing was invented. Dendrochronologists can read its rings like pages in a history book, each circle recording rainfall, fire, drought, and temperature. In some years, the ring is barely visible, a thread of wood marking survival through impossible conditions. To think that this tree has watched civilizations bloom and crumble, patient in the thin mountain air. Earth's rotation is gradually slowing down. Consider the planet spinning beneath you, turning once every 24 hours. But each day grows longer by about 1.7 milliseconds every century. The moon's gravitational pull on our oceans creates tidal friction that acts like a brake on Earth's spin. Scientists studying ancient coral fossils discovered that 400 million years ago, a year contained roughly 400 days because each day was only 22 hours long. In another 100 million years, a day might last 25 hours. This reminds us that even time itself is not constant, that the universe measures change in ways too slow for human eyes to see. The Sumerian king list, a cuneiform document from around 2100 BCE, records the reigns of Mesopotamian kings before and after a great flood, with antediluvian rulers reigning for impossibly long periods, some over 30,000 years. Imagine scribes carefully pressing into clay the names and reign lengths of rulers like Elulam of Eridu, who supposedly ruled for 28,800 years, or Demusid the shepherd, whose reign spanned 36,000 years according to the text. After the flood, the reign lengths become more realistic, eventually matching known historical periods that can be verified through archaeology. Scholars generally interpret the pre-flood section as mythological, possibly representing dynasties rather than individuals or using a different counting system. But some researchers have speculated these numbers might reference something else entirely. Perhaps the lifespans of beings from elsewhere, or distorted memories of an advanced antediluvian civilization. The text exists in multiple versions across various Sumerian and Babylonian tablets, suggesting it was important enough to copy repeatedly. This reminds us that history and mythology were once inseparable, woven together in ways that made one strengthen the other. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on Earth. Picture 2,900 individual reefs stretching for over 1,400 miles along Australia's coast, visible from space. Tiny coral polyps, no bigger than a grain of rice, build these limestone fortresses over thousands of years, each generation constructing upon the skeletons of the last. Research from the Australian Institute of Marine Science shows the reef supports over 1,500 species of fish and 400 types of coral. When Captain Cook's ship ran aground here in 1770, he became the first European to document this underwater city. In a sense, coral teaches us that the smallest builders can create monuments that outlast empires. Glaciers hold more fresh water than all the rivers and lakes on Earth combined. Imagine ice sheets grinding slowly across continents, carving valleys and moving mountains at the pace of decades. A glacier is a river of ice that flows downhill under its own weight, sometimes just inches per day, sometimes feet. Scientists drilling into Greenland's ice in 2003 reached ice that fell as snow 130,000 years ago. The ice preserves pollen, dust, and even ancient microbes in suspended animation. To think that glaciers are time machines, holding evidence of worlds long vanished, melting now into the sea. Area 51, the highly classified US Air Force facility in the Nevada desert, has been the subject of UFO speculation since the 1950s, intensified by Bob Lazar's 1989 claims that he worked on reverse engineering extraterrestrial spacecraft at a site called ES4 near Papoose Lake. Imagine a remote facility surrounded by mountains, where experimental aircraft cast strange silhouettes against the desert sky and where workers commute on unmarked planes from Las Vegas, bound by security clearances that forbid discussion of what occurs behind the fences. Declassified documents confirm Area 51's role in developing the U-2 spy plane, SR-71 Blackbird, and stealth technology, projects that would have appeared otherworldly to observers. Laser-described craft that manipulated gravity using a fuel called Element 115, details that have never been verified and are treated skeptically by most scientists and journalists who investigated his background. Yet the facility's genuine secrecy and the government's decades of refusal to acknowledge its existence created perfect conditions for speculation. In a sense, Area 51 represents the space between what governments do and what they admit, a gap where possibility flourishes. The Pacific Ocean covers nearly 1/3 of Earth's entire surface. Consider an expanse of water so vast it could hold all the continents with room to spare, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. At its widest point, the Pacific stretches more than 12,000 miles from Indonesia to Colombia. Ferdinand Magellan named it Peaceful Sea in 1521, though it holds the Ring of Fire, where 75% of Earth's volcanoes rumble and quake. At its heart lies Point Nemo, the most remote spot on the planet, farther from land than the International Space Station orbiting above it. This reminds us that Earth is more water than rock, more blue than green when seen from space. Mountains grow and shrink with the seasons. Picture the Himalayas stretching upward, not just over millions of years, but measurably within a single year. GPS instruments on Mount Everest show the peak rises about 4 millimeters annually as the Indian tectonic plate pushes beneath Asia. But in summer, when snow and ice melt, the mountain actually shrinks slightly from reduced weight. The Alps can vary in height by several centimeters between winter and summer. Geologists discovered this seasonal breathing in 2014 using satellite measurements accurate to within millimeters. In a sense, mountains are alive, swelling and contracting with each turn of the seasons. Earth's atmosphere extends more than 6,000 miles into space. Imagine standing at sea level, where the air feels thick and tangible, then ascending through layers that grow thinner and stranger. The troposphere holds weather and clouds. The stratosphere contains the ozone layer that absorbs deadly ultraviolet light. The thermosphere reaches temperatures of 2,500 degrees Celsius, yet would feel cold because air molecules are so sparse. Scientists launched Explorer 1 in 1958 and discovered the Van Allen radiation belts encircling Earth like invisible armor. To think that we live at the bottom of an ocean of air, protected by layers we cannot see. The Dyatlov Pass incident of February 1959 killed 9 experienced hikers in the Ural Mountains under circumstances so strange that speculation has ranged from secret military tests to Yeti attacks to UFO encounters. Imagine a tent cut open from the inside, its occupants fleeing into -30-degree temperatures wearing minimal clothing. Their bodies found over the following months with injuries including fractured skulls and ribs, but little external trauma, one woman missing her tongue. Soviet investigators noted strange orange lights in the sky reported by other hikers and meteorological stations that night. One victim's clothing showed elevated radiation levels. The official conclusion cited a compelling natural force, a phrase that explained nothing. Modern analyses have proposed avalanche katabatic winds causing infrasound that induced panic, or military testing of thermobaric weapons, but each theory struggles to account for all the evidence. The remote location, the Cold War secrecy surrounding the region, and the genuinely bizarre details have kept alternative theories alive. To think that 9 lives could be extinguished by something we still cannot name 65 years later is to acknowledge how much remains unknowable. Volcanoes on the ocean floor outnumber those on land. Consider the mid-ocean ridges, underwater mountain ranges, where tectonic plates pull apart and magma rises to fill the gap. More than 75% of volcanic activity happens beneath the waves, invisible and constant. In 1977, scientists exploring near the Galapagos Islands discovered hydrothermal vents spewing water hot enough to melt lead, surrounded by life forms that survive without sunlight. These underwater volcanoes create new seafloor at rates of inches per year, constantly rebuilding the planet. This reminds us that Earth's true wilderness lies beneath the surface of the sea, volcanic and alive. The San Andreas Fault moves about 2 inches every year. Picture the ground beneath California slowly tearing apart, the Pacific Plate sliding northwest while the North American Plate holds firm. In roughly 15 million years, Los Angeles will be adjacent to San Francisco. The 1906 earthquake near San Francisco shifted the ground up to 20 feet, in some places within seconds. Geologists can measure the fault's creep using laser instruments and GPS markers embedded in the rock. Ancient riverbeds, now separated by hundreds of miles, reveal how much the fault has moved over millennia. To think that continents drift like ships, patient and unstoppable, reshaping coastlines while we sleep. Diamonds form over 1 billion years under immense pressure. Imagine carbon atoms crushed together 90 miles beneath the surface, where temperatures exceed 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Volcanic eruptions bring these crystals to the surface in pipes of cooled magma called kimberlite, the oldest diamonds ever discovered. Found in Australia in 2007, crystallized 4.3 billion years ago, just 300 million years after Earth formed. Each diamond holds tiny inclusions, trapped minerals that tell stories of the deep Earth. This reminds us that beauty takes time. that the hardest substance on Earth begins as something common, transformed by unimaginable force. The Atacama humanoid, a 6-inch skeleton discovered in Chile's Atacama Desert in 2003, appeared so unusual with its elongated skull and reduced rib count that some speculated it was extraterrestrial or represented an unknown species. Picture researchers examining this tiny form, its bones hardened and aged, its proportions subtly wrong. Found wrapped in cloth in a ghost town, abandoned decades earlier. In 2018, a comprehensive genetic analysis published in the journal Genome Research by Gary Nolan and colleagues at Stanford University determined the skeleton was human. A female fetus or premature infant with multiple genetic mutations affecting bone development, including mutations associated with dwarfism, scoliosis, and cranial malformations. The research raised ethical concerns about the skeleton's origin and the genetics of the modern Chilean population from whom it likely came. The case demonstrates how rare genetic conditions can create remains that challenge our expectations of human morphology. This reminds us that Earth's biological diversity, including its anomalies and tragedies, can appear as strange as anything we might imagine from the stars. Earth's magnetic field has reversed itself hundreds of times. Consider your compass pointing north, a direction that has not always been constant. Every few 100,000 years, the magnetic poles flip, with north becoming south and south becoming north. Scientists studying ancient lava flows discovered iron minerals frozen in rock, aligned with the magnetic field of their time, revealing this reversal pattern. The last flip occurred 780,000 years ago. Some researchers believe we are overdue for another reversal, which could take up to 1,000 years to complete. In a sense, even the planet's sense of direction is temporary, shifting with deep currents of molten iron. Permafrost holds twice as much carbon as the entire atmosphere. Picture the frozen ground across Siberia, Alaska, and Canada. Soil that has remained below freezing for thousands of years. Within this ice lie the preserved remains of ancient plants, animals, and microbes, locked in suspended decay. As global temperatures rise, permafrost thaws and microbes wake up, releasing methane and carbon dioxide. Scientists drilling in Siberia in 2019 found 40,000-year-old worms that began moving again after being thawed. The permafrost holds not just carbon, but entire ecosystems frozen in time. To think that the ground itself is a freezer, holding the past until the world grows warm enough to open it. The Grand Canyon reveals 2 billion years of Earth's history. Imagine standing at the rim, looking down through layers of stone stacked like pages in a book. The Colorado River carved this chasm over 5 to 6 million years, cutting through rock that formed when Earth was young. At the bottom lie the Vishnu basement rocks, nearly 2 billion years old, formed when the planet had no oxygen in its atmosphere. Geologist John Wesley Powell led the first expedition down the canyon in 1869, mapping layers that contain fossils of ancient seas, deserts, and swamps. Each stripe of color represents a different world, a different climate, a different constellation of life. This reminds us that stone remembers everything, and canyons are libraries written in mineral and time. The Silurian hypothesis, proposed by scientists Adam Frank and Gavin Schmidt in 2018, asks whether industrial civilizations existed on Earth millions of years before humans and what geological traces they would leave. Consider that the entire span of human industrial civilization represents about 0.00006% of Earth's history, a blink easily lost in the geological record. The paper, published in the International Journal of Astrobiology, was thought experiment rather than serious proposal, yet it highlights how little we understand about the preservation potential of technological signatures. Plastics might persist, as microparticles, synthetic isotopes, would appear as geochemical anomalies, and climate disturbances would show in ice cores and sediments. But erosion, subduction, and metamorphism erase most evidence over millions of years. Frank and Schmidt concluded that we couldn't definitively rule out previous industrial civilizations that rose and fell before the dinosaurs. This reminds us that the archive of deep time is incomplete, and that absence of evidence must be weighed against evidence of absence, especially when considering timescales that dwarf human comprehension. Bioluminescent bays glow blue when the water moves. Picture a kayak gliding through darkness in Puerto Rico's Mosquito Bay, and every paddle stroke ignites a trail of blue fire. Millions of dinoflagellates, microscopic organisms smaller than a grain of sand, flash with light when disturbed. This bioluminescence serves as a defense mechanism, startling predators with sudden brightness. Scientists estimate that a single gallon of water in these bays contains up to 750,000 dinoflagellates. The phenomenon only occurs in calm, shallow bays where nutrients concentrate and water rarely exchanges with the open ocean. To think that the sea can hold its own stars, glowing not from heat but from tiny lives protecting themselves in the dark. Earth's inner core is a solid sphere of iron suspended in liquid. Consider the very center of the planet, a ball of crystallized metal about 1,500 miles wide, somehow solid despite temperatures that would melt iron anywhere else. The pressure here reaches 3.6 million times atmospheric pressure at sea level, squeezing atoms so tightly they cannot move into liquid form. Ing Lehman discovered the inner core in 1936 by studying how earthquake waves bent and reflected deep underground. The core spins slightly faster than the rest of the planet, gaining a quarter turn every 1,000 years. In a sense, Earth has a heart of iron that beats to its own rhythm, separate from the world spinning around it. The Atacama Desert in Chile has places where rain has never been recorded. Imagine a landscape so dry that parts of it perfectly preserve mummies naturally, where some weather stations have operated for decades without detecting a single drop of water. The Atacama sits in a double rain shadow between the Andes Mountains and the Chilean coast range, blocking moisture from both sides. NASA uses this desert to test Mars rovers because the soil chemistry closely resembles Martian regolith. In 2015, researchers discovered bacteria living inside salt rocks, surviving on moisture drawn from coastal fog. To think that life clings to existence even in places that mock the very idea of water, patient in stone. The Abydos helicopter is a set of hieroglyphs in the Temple of Seti I in Egypt that appear to depict modern aircraft, including a helicopter, submarine, and plane. Picture tourists pointing at carved symbols that seem impossibly anachronistic. Images that look more like a modern military catalogue than Bronze Age religious text. The hieroglyphs are located in a beam that was recarved, with newer hieroglyphs overlaying older ones, and what appears as helicopters and planes is actually a palimpsest, where erosion and the layering of different texts created coincidental shapes resembling modern vehicles. Egyptologist and linguist Philip J. Corso has documented how specific combinations of common hieroglyphic symbols, when partially eroded or overlapped, produce these peridolic effects where the human brain recognizes familiar patterns. The explanation is well established in mainstream Egyptology, but remains a staple of ancient astronaut arguments. To think that the accident of erosion and our pattern-seeking minds can create meaning, where none was intended, is to understand how easily we project present concerns onto the past. The wow signal, detected on August 15, 1977, by the Big Ear Radio Telescope in Ohio, remains the strongest candidate for an extraterrestrial radio transmission ever recorded. Imagine astronomer Jerry R. Emmon reviewing computer printouts the next morning and finding a signal so powerful, so precisely at the 1420 MHz hydrogen line where artificial broadcasts might be expected, that he circled it and wrote "wow" in red ink on the margin. The signal lasted 72 seconds. The full duration the telescope could observe a fixed point as Earth rotated and matched the expected signature of an extraterrestrial source. It came from the direction of Sagittarius, near the star Tau Sagittarii, but has never repeated despite numerous attempts to relocate it. In 2017, Antonio Paris proposed the signal might have come from a passing comet, specifically 266P Christensen, which hadn't been discovered in 1977, but this explanation has been disputed based on signal characteristics. The WOW signal represents a tantalizing possibility that can be neither confirmed nor dismissed. A single whisper from the cosmic dark that may or may not have meant anything at all. In a sense, it is the perfect symbol of our search, a moment of possible contact that leaves us less certain than before. Earthquakes can make days shorter by redistributing Earth's mass. Picture the planet spinning like a figure skater, arms extended, then pulling inward and spinning faster. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan, measuring magnitude 9.0, shifted enough mass toward Earth's axis that it shortened each day by 1.8 microseconds. The quake moved Japan's main island 8 feet to the east and shifted Earth's axis by about 4 inches. Scientists using GPS satellites measured these changes within hours of the event. Over 10,000 aftershocks followed in the next year. This reminds us that catastrophes reshape not just landscapes, but the very rotation of the world, adjusting time itself in ways we barely notice. Fungi connect trees in networks spanning entire forests. Consider the soil beneath a woodland, threaded with billions of fungal filaments thinner than human hair. These mycorrhizal networks link tree roots in a web of mutual exchange, trading sugars from photosynthesis for minerals drawn from stone. Research by Suzanne Simard at the University of British Columbia revealed that trees share resources through these networks, sending extra carbon to neighbors under stress. A single fungal individual can span acres, living for hundreds of years underground. In autumn, it sends up mushrooms like ships launching flags. In a sense, forests are not collections of individuals, but single organisms, breathing and thinking through roots we never see. The Dead Sea is 9 times saltier than the ocean. Imagine water so dense with minerals that you cannot sink, your body floating effortlessly on the surface. This salt lake sits 1,400 feet below sea level, the lowest point on Earth's land surface. Water flows in from the Jordan River but has no outlet, so it evaporates under the desert sun, leaving salt behind. The concentration of salt is 34%, compared to 3% in normal seawater. Herod the Great built a palace on its shores in the 1st century BCE, and Cleopatra obtained beauty products from its mineral-rich mud. To think that water can become so heavy with dissolved stone that it refuses to let anything drown. A sea that contradicts its own name. Caves grow larger by a single molecule at a time. Picture water seeping through limestone, slightly acidic from dissolved carbon dioxide, dissolving calcium carbonate grain by grain. Over millions of years, tiny passages become chambers large enough to hold cathedrals. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky stretches for over 400 miles of mapped passages, the longest cave system on Earth. Explorers discover new sections every year, crawling through passages no human has ever seen. Inside, blind fish and colorless crickets have evolved without sunlight, their eyes disappearing over countless generations. This reminds us that patience can carve palaces from solid rock, that darkness holds ecosystems as complex as any forest. The moon is slowly drifting away from Earth. Consider our closest companion in space, pulling the tides and lighting the night, moving approximately 1.5 inches farther from us each year. When the moon formed 4.5 billion years ago, likely from debris after a Mars-sized object struck Earth, it orbited just 15,000 miles away. Now it circles at 239,000 miles distance. Scientists bouncing laser beams off reflectors left by Apollo astronauts measure this drift with millimeter precision. In 600 million years, total solar eclipses will no longer be possible because the moon will appear too small to cover the sun. To think that even the moon grows distant, that nothing in the universe holds still. The Denisovans, a distinct hominin species, known primarily from fragments found in Siberia's Denisova cave, interbred with modern humans and contributed DNA that aids high-altitude adaptation in Tibetan populations. Picture archaeologists in 2008 discovering a finger bone and teeth from individuals who lived 50,000 years ago, extracting DNA that revealed an entirely unknown branch of the human family tree, neither Homo sapiens nor Neanderthal. Genetic analysis by Svante Pääbo's team at the Max Planck Institute showed Denisovans diverged from the common ancestor of humans and Neanderthals roughly 500,000 years ago. Their genetic legacy persists in modern Melanesians, Aboriginal Australians, and Tibetans, with a Denisovan gene variant of EPAs, one enhancing oxygen efficiency at high altitude. In 2019, a jawbone found at 10,000 feet on the Tibetan plateau extended their known range and indicated they thrived in extreme environments. To think that a species we barely know shaped our genetics and capabilities, that our ancestors interbred with multiple human-like species, now extinct, is to recognize that humanity's story is one of confluence and loss, of diversity winnowed to a single surviving branch. The Black Knight satellite is an alleged near-polar orbiting object claimed to be of extraterrestrial origin and 13,000 years old, based on various sightings, photos, and radio signals. Imagine conspiracy theorists assembling a narrative from disparate elements. Unusual radio signals detected by Nikola Tesla in 1899 and Norwegian engineer Jürgen Haas in the 1920s. Objects reported by astronaut Gordon Cooper in 1963, and a 1998 space shuttle photograph showing a dark object near Earth. Investigation reveals each element has a mundane explanation. Tesla detected natural radio emissions or early transmitters. The 1960s reports concerned spy satellites and space debris. And the famous photograph shows a thermal blanket that came loose during an EVA on STS-88. The Black Knight name appears to have emerged from British rocketry projects in the 1950s and was later retroactively applied to these unrelated incidents. The story demonstrates how disconnected events can be woven into a compelling narrative when freed from temporal and evidential constraints. This reminds us that pattern recognition, one of humanity's greatest cognitive tools, can become a liability when applied without rigor, creating connections where only coincidence exists. Geysers are portals to underground pressure and heat. Imagine Yellowstone's Old Faithful erupting roughly every 90 minutes, sending thousands of gallons of boiling water 140 feet into the air. Water seeps deep underground where volcanic heat raises temperatures above boiling point, but pressure keeps it liquid. When pressure releases, superheated water flashes to steam and explodes upward through narrow channels in the rock. The park sits atop a volcanic hotspot that has produced 3 massive eruptions over the past 2 million years. Scientists monitoring ground deformation detected the chamber refilling with magma in 2014. In a sense, geysers are Earth's breath, exhaling heat and water from furnaces hidden miles below. The Yonaguni Monument, off the coast of Japan, is a massive underwater rock formation featuring straight edges, right angles, and apparent terraces that some researchers argue is a submerged city from an ancient civilization. Picture divers descending to find structures resembling pyramids and plazas, with what appear to be carved channels, basins, and a formation called the Turtle that suggests sculpting. Discovered in 1985 by dive tour operator Kihachiro Erratic, the site has been championed by marine geologist Masaki Kimura as evidence of a 10,000-year-old megalithic civilization. Most geologists, including Robert Schoch, who has extensively examined the site, argue that the formations are natural sandstone structures shaped by tectonic activity, wave erosion, and the natural tendency of layered sedimentary rock to fracture along parallel planes, creating angular features. No tool marks, pottery, or other artifacts typically associated with human habitation have been found. The structure's appearance matches known geological processes in the region where sandstone of the Yayama group forms similar natural formations. This reminds us that nature can produce regularity and geometry without intent, and that our desire to find lost civilizations must be balanced against rigorous geological analysis. Stalactites and stalagmites take centuries to grow an inch. Picture a cave where water drips from the ceiling, each drop carrying dissolved calcium carbonate. When the drop falls, a microscopic ring of calcite remains behind. Over thousands of years, these rings build downward into stone icicles hanging from the cave roof. Below, where drops land, matching towers grow upward from the floor. In some caves, they eventually meet, forming columns that connect floor to ceiling. The longest known stalactite hangs in Brazil's Gruta do Janelão, reaching 92 feet long. To think that these formations grow slower than fingernails, yet can span the height of buildings, patient monuments to the passage of water and time. Hot springs host life that thrives at boiling temperatures. Consider the Grand Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone, its center burning blue at temperatures reaching 187 degrees Fahrenheit. Around its edges, rings of orange, yellow, and green mark different communities of thermophilic bacteria, each species adapted to a specific temperature range. In 1969, scientist Thomas Brock discovered Thermus aquaticus living in these scalding waters, a bacterium that revolutionized molecular biology by enabling PCR, the technique used to copy DNA. These organisms possess enzymes that function at temperatures that would destroy normal proteins. This reminds us that life is more stubborn than we imagine, finding ways to flourish in water hot enough to brew tea. Sinkholes can swallow buildings in seconds. Imagine the ground beneath the city, secretly hollow, eaten away by acidic groundwater dissolving limestone over millennia. The surface remains intact until the cavern below grows too large, and suddenly the earth collapses inward. In 2013, a sinkhole in Florida opened beneath a bedroom, swallowing a man as he slept, never to be recovered. The Shaojiatianqing in China plunges over 2,000 feet deep and nearly 2,000 feet wide, a natural amphitheater carved by collapsing rock. Inside, an entire ecosystem exists isolated from the surrounding world, with unique species found nowhere else. To think that the ground we trust is sometimes just a roof over emptiness, waiting for the moment it can no longer hold. The Rendlesham Forest incident of December 1980 involved multiple US Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge in Suffolk, England, reporting unexplained lights and a metallic craft in the forest over consecutive nights. Picture servicemen, including Staff Sergeant Jim Peniston, approaching an object emitting bright lights through the trees, touching its surface and describing symbols resembling hieroglyphs, while radiation readings taken later showed elevated levels at the landing site. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt led an investigation on the third night and recorded audio notes describing lights moving through the forest and a beam of light directed toward the weapons storage area. Skeptics have proposed explanations including the nearby Orford Ness Lighthouse, misidentified aircraft, and even a prank involving local police. But these struggle to account for the multiple trained observers, the physical trace evidence, and the consistency of reports across several nights. The UK Ministry of Defence concluded the events posed no threat to national security but did not explain what occurred. To think that military personnel with security clearances, trained to identify aircraft and assess threats, reported something they could not categorize is to acknowledge that witness credibility complicates dismissal. The crystal skulls, particularly the Mitchell-Hedges skull, allegedly discovered in Belize in the 1920s, were presented as Aztec or Maya artifacts with supernatural properties and impossibly precise craftsmanship. Consider an object of clear quartz carved in the shape of a human cranium, its jaw articulated to move, its surfaces polished to optical quality that promoters claimed would require hundreds of years of hand grinding with sand. Anna Mitchell-Hest claimed her father found it at the Maya ruins of Lubenton in 1924. Though research by archaeologists and journalists, including Joe Nickell, found no documentation of this discovery, and evidence the skull was purchased at Sotheby's auction house in London. Studies by the British Museum in 1996 using electron microscopy revealed tool marks consistent with modern, rotary cutting wheels unavailable to pre-Columbian cultures. Other crystal skulls have been traced to 19th century European manufacturers, particularly workshops in Germany that specialized in hardstone carving. The skulls remain beautiful objects, but their beauty lies in Victorian craftsmanship rather than ancient mystery. In a sense, they demonstrate how market demand for the exotic can manufacture authenticity, and how provenance matters more than appearance. Earth's crust floats on the mantle like ice on water. Picture the continents as rafts drifting on a sea of partially molten rock, moving at roughly the same speed your fingernails grow. This process, called plate tectonics, was proposed by Alfred Wegener in 1912. Though scientists mocked him until seafloor spreading was confirmed in the 1960s, the theory explains why South America and Africa fit together like puzzle pieces, why identical fossils appear on continents now separated by oceans. Subduction zones, where one plate slides beneath another, create the deepest ocean trenches and the most violent earthquakes. In a sense, the planet is a machine that constantly recycles itself, pulling old crust down and birthing new rock at volcanic ridges. Deserts bloom after rain in explosions of color. Imagine Death Valley, one of the hottest and driest places on Earth, suddenly carpeted in wildflowers after a rare storm. Seeds can lie dormant in the sand for years, decades even, waiting for the specific conditions of moisture and temperature that trigger germination. In 2016, a superbloom transformed the valley into a garden of gold poppies, purple lupins, and pink evening primrose. The flowers must complete their entire life cycle in weeks before the heat returns. Botanists have identified over 1,000 plant species surviving in the Mojave Desert, each with strategies for enduring impossible dryness. This reminds us that patience is a form of survival, that life knows how to wait for its moment. Caves preserve perfect silence in their deepest chambers. Consider descending into Mammoth Cave's remotest sections, where sound behaves strangely in the absolute absence of echoes from the outside world. In these spaces, your own heartbeat becomes loud, your breathing a meditation. Scientists measuring sound levels in Carlsbad caverns recorded areas approaching 0 decibels, quieter than any soundproof room. Ancient peoples used caves for rituals, painting animals on walls where their voices would resonate with strange overtones. Spelunkers report that spending hours in deep silence changes perception, making the return to surface noise almost painful. To think that beneath our busy world exist chambers of perfect quiet, where stone absorbs every sound and returns nothing. River deltas are land built from mountains destroyed. Picture the Mississippi River Delta, a fan of sediment spreading into the Gulf of Mexico. Built from particles eroded from the Rocky Mountains. Every year, the Mississippi carries 500 million tons of sediment to the sea, fragments of distant peaks ground down by time and water. The delta's birds' foot shape formed over the past 7,000 years as the river switched channels, building new land with each flood. Core samples taken from the delta's sediment reveal layers documenting floods, droughts, and hurricanes across millennia. In a sense, deltas are graveyards of mountains, the final resting place of rocks that once touched clouds, transformed into marshes where new life begins. The Sumerian tablets describing the Anunnaki's gold mining operation on Earth proposed that these beings genetically engineered Homo sapiens as a slave species to extract precious metals. Picture ancient texts describing how Enki and Ninhursag mixed the essence of existing hominids with that of the gods to create workers called Lulu, primitive humans designed for labor. Zecharia Sitchin interpreted these myths literally as descriptions of genetic engineering, arguing that gold was needed to repair Nibiru's atmosphere and that human evolution's sudden leap in the archaeological record reflects artificial intervention. Mainstream scientists note that human evolution shows clear gradual development over millions of years through fossil evidence, that the gold requirements for atmospheric repair are physically implausible, and that myths of gods creating humans from earth or divine essence are universal across cultures. The tablets are undeniably real. The mythology they contain is fascinating. But interpreting Bronze Age religious texts as technical manuals for genetic engineering requires ignoring both Mesopotamian cultural context and evolutionary biology. In a sense, the theory reveals more about modern anxieties around genetic technology and human purpose than about ancient intentions. The Bimini Road, a half-mile underwater rock formation near the Bahamas, consists of rectangular limestone blocks arranged in linear patterns that some identify as a man-made harbor or road from a lost civilization. Consider divers in 1968 discovering these formations in shallow water off North Bimini. The blocks, measuring up to 16 feet long and arranged in what appears as a J-shaped structure with remarkably straight edges. Edgar Cayce had predicted in 1938 that Atlantis would be rediscovered near Bimini in 1968 or 1969, lending the discovery mystical significance. Geological surveys by Eugene Shin and others demonstrated the formation is naturally occurring beach rock, a type of limestone that forms in subtropical waters when calcium carbonate cements beach sediments, then fractures along natural joints to create rectangular patterns. Core samples showed the blocks are attached to the underlying bedrock, not placed there. Radiocarbon dating of shells within the stone yielded ages of 2,000 to 4,000 years, relatively recent in archaeological terms. This reminds us that prophecy fulfilled often reflects interpretation rather than prediction, and that nature's geometry can mimic human construction with no conscious hand behind it. Ice ages have covered Earth at least 5 times. Imagine glaciers advancing from the poles, burying entire continents under ice miles thick, then retreating as the climate warms. The most recent glacial period ended only 11,700 years ago, when ice sheets covered Canada, Northern Europe, and parts of Asia. At their maximum, glaciers held so much water that sea levels dropped 400 feet, exposing land bridges that allowed humans to migrate between continents. Scientists studying ice cores and ocean sediments have identified cycles of glaciation tied to subtle variations in Earth's orbit and axial tilt, patterns that repeat every 100,000 years. To think that ice ages are not anomalies but part of Earth's natural rhythm, that our warm period is the intermission between frozen acts. The Betty and Barney Hill abduction of September 1961 established the template for alien abduction narratives and introduced the now familiar image of grey aliens with large eyes. Imagine a couple driving home through New Hampshire's White Mountains on a lonely highway when they notice a bright light following their car, experience a period of missing time, and arrive home hours later than expected with fragmented memories and unexplained anxiety. Under hypnosis conducted by psychiatrist Benjamin Simon in 1964, Betty described being taken aboard a craft and shown a star map indicating the alien's origin, which amateur astronomer Marjorie Fish later identified as potentially matching Zeta Reticuli, a binary star system. Skeptics note that hypnotic memories are highly unreliable, susceptible to suggestion and confabulation, and that the Hills had watched a UFO-themed episode of The Outer Limits before undergoing hypnosis. The case occurred during heightened Cold War anxieties and at the beginning of the space age, when alien contact seemed newly plausible. This reminds us that cultural context shapes experience, and that the boundary between memory, imagination, and external event is more porous than we like to believe. The Olmec civilization of Mesoamerica, flourishing from 1500 to 400 BCE, carved massive stone heads weighing up to 50 tons with distinctly African facial features, leading some researchers to propose pre-Columbian transatlantic contact. Picture 17 colossal heads discovered across the Mexican Gulf Coast, each portraying an individual with broad noses, full lips, and facial proportions that seem to diverge from indigenous American populations. Ivan van Sertima's 1976 book, They Came Before Columbus, argued that West African peoples reached the Americas centuries before Europeans, pointing to these sculptures as evidence. Mainstream archaeologists counter that the heads represent Olmec rulers and that the facial features are consistent with indigenous Mesoamerican populations, whose physical diversity is well documented. DNA studies of ancient and modern indigenous American populations show no significant African admixture during the relevant time period. The theory also underestimates the Olmecs' demonstrated capacity for monumental art and navigation of local stone resources. To think that physical features alone could prove transoceanic contact is to oversimplify both human morphological variation and the achievements of the Olmec civilization itself. Quicksand is denser than the human body. Consider the myth of quicksand swallowing people whole, a Hollywood invention with little basis in physics. Real quicksand forms when water saturates sand, reducing friction between grains and creating a fluid mixture. You cannot sink completely because the sand-water mixture has roughly twice the density of human tissue, meaning you would float at about waist depth. The danger comes from struggling, which causes the sand to compact around limbs, creating suction. In 2005, researchers at the University of Amsterdam calculated that escaping quicksand requires the same force as lifting a car. The solution is to move slowly, allowing water to flow back around you. This reminds us that nature is often less dramatic than our fears imagine. Tidal pools hold entire oceans in miniature. Picture a depression in the rocks where waves left water behind, and within this single puddle exists a complete ecosystem. See anemones anchor to stone, their tentacles waving like underwater flowers. Hermit crabs scuttle between crevices, and tiny fish dart through forests of seaweed inches tall. These pools endure extreme conditions, heating under the sun, diluting in rain, concentrating with evaporation. Research from the University of California in 2003 showed that animals in tidal pools can survive temperature swings of 40 degrees Fahrenheit within a single day. Each incoming tide refreshes the pool, bringing food and oxygen. To think that life compresses itself into these temporary worlds, thriving in spaces small enough to step over. Earthquakes produce sounds too low for humans to hear. Imagine the ground rupturing along a fault line, sending seismic waves through bedrock that oscillate below the range of human hearing. These infrasound waves, below 20 Hz, can travel thousands of miles through the Earth's crust. Elephants and whales communicate using similar frequencies, and some scientists believe animals fled to high ground before the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami because they detected infrasound from the earthquake. Seismologists recording the 2015 Nepal earthquake captured infrasound signatures that reached Europe. Instruments designed to monitor nuclear tests also detect these deep earth groans. In a sense, the planet speaks in frequencies we cannot perceive, a language of stone that bypasses our ears entirely. Crystal caves grow formations larger than telephone poles. Consider the Cave of Crystals in Neca, Mexico, discovered in 2000 by miners drilling beneath a mountain. Inside, selenite crystals span lengths of 36 feet and weigh up to 55 tons, the largest natural crystals ever found. The cave formed in a pocket of magma-heated water that remained at a stable temperature for over 500,000 years, allowing crystals to grow slowly to impossible sizes. Without protective suits, the cave's temperature of 136 degrees Fahrenheit and near 100% humidity would kill a person within minutes. Explorers can only remain inside for 30 minutes before heat exhaustion sets in. To think that beauty this extreme requires conditions lethal to witness. That Earth creates wonders in places we can barely survive to see. The Voynich manuscript, a 15th century codex written in an unknown script and filled with bizarre botanical illustrations, astronomical diagrams, and naked figures in pools, has resisted every attempt at decoding for over a century. Consider scholars examining pages of flowing text that follows statistical patterns of natural language but corresponds to no known alphabet, accompanying drawings of plants that match no species on Earth, and cosmological diagrams suggesting knowledge that seems both sophisticated and fantastical. Carbon dating places the vellum between 1404 and 1438, and the manuscript was owned by Emperor Rudolf II of Prague, who believed it was the work of Roger Bacon. Computer analysis by researchers including Greg Kondrak in 2018 suggested the text might be Hebrew encoded through alphagram patterns. but attempts to translate using this method have produced gibberish. Alternative theories propose it is an elaborate hoax, an art brute creation by someone with psychological disturbance, an encoded alchemical text, or a constructed language for a now-lost philosophical system. The manuscript exists in Yale's Bernanke Rare Book Library, as real and tangible as any other medieval document, yet as opaque as if it fell from another world. In a sense, it represents the possibility that meaning can be perfectly preserved while remaining perfectly inaccessible. The Mapami Silent Zone in Durango, Mexico, is an area where locals claim radio signals fail, compasses spin erratically, and unusual phenomena occur with regularity sufficient to attract scientific interest and government attention. Imagine a remote desert region where in 1970 an American Athena rocket launched from Utah went mysteriously off course and crashed, prompting US military personnel to arrive and remove the wreckage along with contaminated soil. Mexican scientist Harry de la Pena studied electromagnetic anomalies in the zone and noted unusual magnetic properties in the soil, while biologists have documented endemic species of plants and animals found nowhere else. The area lies at a similar latitude to the Bermuda Triangle and the Himalayas' sacred sites, forming what some call the 27th parallel of mysterious locations. Skeptical investigations note that radio transmission works normally in the region and that compass anomalies can be explained by local magnetite deposits. The rocket crash is documented fact, but whether the zone itself possesses unusual properties remains contested between local experience and scientific measurement. Soil takes hundreds of years to form from rock. Imagine a boulder exposed to rain, freeze-thaw cycles cracking it along microscopic faults. Lichens colonize the surface, their acids dissolving minerals. Moss follows, trapping moisture and organic matter. Centuries pass as the rock breaks into smaller fragments. Bacteria and fungi move in, processing dead plant material. Earthworms arrive, tunneling and mixing layers. Scientists estimate that forming just 1 inch of topsoil requires between 500 and 1,000 years, depending on climate and parent rock. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s eroded away soil that took millennia to develop. This reminds us that dirt is not infinite, that the ground feeding us is older than civilizations and more fragile than it appears. Meteor impacts have changed the course of life on Earth. Picture the Chicxulub crater buried beneath. Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, created 66 million years ago when an asteroid 6 miles wide struck at 45,000 miles per hour. The impact released energy equivalent to 10 billion atomic bombs, triggering earthquakes, tsunamis, and global firestorms. Dust and debris blocked sunlight for years, collapsing food chains and driving 3/4 of Earth's species to extinction, including non-avian dinosaurs. Geologist Walter Alvarez discovered the impact layer in 1980, a thin band of iridium-rich clay marking the boundary between the Cretaceous and Paleogene periods. In a sense, we exist because of catastrophe, because space cleared away the old world and allowed mammals to inherit what remained. Mangrove forests protect coastlines from storms and erosion. Consider these trees growing where land meets sea, their roots arching above water like cathedral buttresses. Mangroves thrive in salt water that would kill most plants, filtering out salt through their roots or excreting it through specialized glands in their leaves. During the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, villages behind intact mangrove forests suffered significantly less damage than those where mangroves had been cleared. A single hectare of mangroves can absorb wave energy equivalent to a seawall costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Scientists have documented over 80 mangrove species worldwide. supporting ecosystems that nurture juvenile fish and filter pollutants from water. To think that trees can stand guard against the ocean's fury, their roots weaving barriers between waves and shore. Underground rivers flow through darkness unseen. Imagine rivers carving channels through limestone, hidden completely beneath the surface, never touched by sunlight. The world's longest known underground river flows through Mexico's Sistema Sac-Acton, a network of submerged caves extending over 215 miles. Divers exploring these systems must navigate complete darkness, following guidelines to avoid getting lost in the maze. In 2007, explorers discovered a subterranean river in Mexico with water so clear they initially thought their cave had opened to air, until their hands touched liquid. Some underground rivers eventually emerge as springs, their water having traveled miles through stone. This reminds us that Earth's plumbing extends far beyond what maps reveal, that rivers flow in realms we rarely consider. The Sahara exports nutrients to the Amazon. Picture dust storms lifting millions of tons of sand from Africa, carrying it west across the Atlantic Ocean on trade winds. This dust, rich in phosphorus from dried lake beds, falls as fertilizer across the Amazon basin 5,000 miles away. Scientists using NASA satellites calculated that the Sahara exports about 22,000 tons of phosphorus to South America annually, replacing nutrients the rainforest loses to heavy rainfall. The dust also carries iron to ocean phytoplankton, supporting marine food webs. Without this aerial fertilizer delivery system, the Amazon would be significantly less productive. In a sense, deserts feed rainforests, and continents care for each other through wind. Hydrothermal vents support ecosystems without sunlight. Consider the ocean floor, 1 mile deep, where tectonic plates pull apart and seawater seeps into cracks, contacts magma, and explodes back out at temperatures exceeding 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Around these black smokers, minerals precipitate from the superheated water, forming chimneys that can grow feet per day. In 1977, scientists aboard the submersible Alvin discovered tube worms 8 feet long, giant clams, and ghostly white crabs clustered around vents near the Galapagos. These organisms survive on chemosynthetic bacteria that extract energy from hydrogen sulfide rather than sunlight. Life here proves that photosynthesis is not the only foundation for complex ecosystems. To think that the deepest darkness holds gardens that bloom from Earth's internal heat. Rivers can flow backward during extreme weather. Imagine the Chicago River during the Great Lakes storm of 1913. Its current reversing as wind-driven waves from Lake Michigan pushed water upstream against the flow. Engineers permanently reversed the Chicago River in 1900 by constructing canals and locks, making it flow away from the lake to protect the city's drinking water supply. During Hurricane Katrina in 2005, storm surge pushed the Mississippi River backward for miles. The Amazon River's mouth experiences tidal bores called pororoca that reverse flow in tributaries twice daily. These reversals demonstrate that gravity's pull downstream is not absolute. This reminds us that even rivers can hesitate, that nature's most dependable flows sometimes stop and reconsider their direction. Antarctic ice sheets contain meteorites from throughout solar system history. Picture ice flowing slowly toward the coast, carrying debris trapped millions of years ago. Where mountains block the flow, ice ablates away in the wind, concentrating meteorites on the surface. Scientists have collected over 45,000 meteorites from Antarctica since 1969, including rare samples from Mars and the Moon. The cold, dry environment preserves space rocks better than any other location on Earth. In 1984, researchers found a LH84001, a meteorite from Mars containing structures some scientists initially interpreted as fossilized bacteria, sparking decades of debate about life beyond Earth. To think that Antarctica is a museum of cosmic debris, holding fragments of distant worlds delivered across the emptiness of space. Salt flats create mirrors that reflect the entire sky. Consider Bolivia's Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat at over 4,000 square miles. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water transforms the landscape into a perfect reflection, erasing the horizon between Earth and heaven. The salt crust, up to 30 feet thick in places, formed from ancient lakes that evaporated tens of thousands of years ago. Beneath lies half the world's lithium reserves, an element essential for modern batteries. Photographers travel here to capture images where people appear to walk on clouds. This reminds us that flatness can be beautiful, that the most level places on Earth become canvases for the sky. Lava tubes create underground highways formed by flowing rock. Imagine molten lava flowing downhill during an eruption, its surface cooling and hardening while liquid rock continues rushing beneath. When the eruption ends and the lava drains away, it leaves a tunnel behind. Some lava tubes extend for miles, large enough to drive vehicles through. In Hawaii, Kimona Cave formed during an 1881 eruption of Mauna Loa, and visitors can walk through passages where rock once flowed like water. Scientists exploring lava tubes on the flanks of Mount Etna discovered unique bacterial communities that survive in total darkness. NASA studies these formations as analogues for caves detected on Mars and the Moon. In a sense, volcanoes are sculptors, carving galleries through their own creation. Ghost forests stand where seawater killed the trees. Picture the New Jersey coast, where stands of dead cedars rise from salt marshes, their bark stripped away, their branches reaching skyward like skeletal hands. These trees died as rising sea levels allowed tidal floods to poison their roots with salt. Similar ghost forests appear along coastlines worldwide, marking the advance of oceans onto land. Tree ring analysis shows some forests died suddenly, likely during earthquakes that dropped coastal land below sea level. In the Pacific Northwest, submerged forests date to a massive earthquake in 1700 that generated tsunamis reaching Japan. To think that forests can drown, that trees marking the edge of land become monuments to the sea's slow invasion. Earth's shadow creates the blue hour before dawn and after sunset. Consider the moments when the sun hides below the horizon but still illuminates the upper atmosphere. The sky glows with indirect light scattered by air molecules, creating a soft blue radiance photographers call the blue hour. During this time, the boundary between day and night becomes visible as Earth's shadow, a blue-grey band rising in the east at dusk or setting in the west at dawn. Above this shadow, a pink band called the belt of Venus appears, sunlight reflecting off high atmosphere. These colors last only 15 to 30 minutes, a transient beauty repeated twice daily. This reminds us that twilight is not simply absence of light, but a phenomenon in itself. The planet's shadow painted across its own sky. Permafrost mummies preserve bodies better than any embalming. Imagine the Siberian tundra in 1993, where Russian scientists discovered a 2,500-year-old Scythian warrior princess frozen in ice. Her skin still showed detailed tattoos of mythical creatures, her hair remained braided, and her last meal was identifiable in her stomach. The permafrost had kept her body at constant freezing temperatures, preventing bacterial decay. In the Altai Mountains, excavations have revealed entire burial chambers with felt carpets, wooden furniture, and sacrificed horses, preserved as if frozen yesterday. DNA extracted from these mummies reveals migration patterns and diseases of ancient peoples. To think that ice is the most faithful curator, holding human stories in perfect stillness, while empires above rise and crumble into dust. Sandstone arches form through millennia of grain-by-grain erosion. Picture Utah's delicate arch, a freestanding curve of rock 60 feet tall, impossibly balanced on the edge of a cliff. Wind and water dissolve the cement-binding sand grains together, preferentially eroding softer layers and leaving harder sections behind. Arches form when erosion breaks through a thin wall of rock, creating an opening that gradually enlarges. Scientists estimate landscape arch in Utah, spanning nearly 300 feet, could collapse at any moment as stress fractures widen. In 2008, a 70-foot section of war arch fell during the night, its destruction heard for miles. Each arch is temporary, a sculpture visible only for a geological moment. This reminds us that even stone is fluid across deep time, that permanence is illusion. Bioluminescent fungi glow to attract insects that spread their spores. Consider walking through Brazilian rainforests at night, where 70 species of mushrooms emit soft green light from compounds similar to firefly luciferin. Scientists studying these fungi discovered the glow peaks at night when spore-dispersing beetles and flies are most active. The light comes from an enzyme-mediated reaction that continues even after the mushroom is picked. Japanese species called tsukiotic shine bright enough to read by in total darkness. Aristotle documented glowing wood in 382 BCE, and during World War I, soldiers used luminescent fungi to read maps without revealing their positions. In a sense, mushrooms speak to insects in light, offering glow as advertisement for the smallest possible moving surfaces. Earthquakes can create temporary waterfalls on dry land. Imagine a fault rupturing during the 1999 Taiwan earthquake, lifting one side of the ground 26 feet higher than the other in seconds. Rivers flowing across this newly raised land suddenly dropped over vertical cliffs that had not existed moments before. These seismic waterfalls appeared throughout the landscape wherever streams crossed the fault line. Some persisted for years until erosion smoothed the terrain. In New Zealand's 2016 Kokora earthquake, the seafloor rose up to 20 feet, stranding marine organisms and creating new tidal platforms. Geologists documented over 100,000 landslides triggered by this single event. To think that earthquakes redraw the landscape in seconds, creating features that would normally require millennia of erosion. The Namib Desert has sand dunes over 1,000 feet tall. Picture dunes in southwestern Africa towering higher than many skyscrapers. Their shapes sculpted by winds that have blown from the Atlantic Ocean for 55 million years. Dune 7, near Walvis Bay, rises over 380 meters from base to crest, among the tallest sand dunes on Earth. These dunes sing, producing low-frequency hums and roars when sand avalanches down their slopes, a phenomenon scientists attribute to sand grains vibrating together. The oldest dunes contain sand grains eroded from mountains that no longer exist. Beetles here survive by collecting fog on their backs, letting water droplets roll into their mouths in a desert where rainfall is almost non-existent. This reminds us that sand can build mountains without stone, monuments to wind's patient architecture. Underground lakes exist in caverns never touched by rain. Consider the Yucatan Peninsula riddled with cenotes, sinkholes opening into subterranean rivers and lakes formed entirely from filtered groundwater. The Maya considered these sacred portals to the underworld, throwing offerings and sometimes human sacrifices into their depths. Dragon's Breath Cave in Namibia contains the world's largest underground lake, its surface sitting over 300 feet below the surface, spanning almost 6 acres of crystal-clear water. Blind cavefish and colorless crustaceans navigate these waters in perpetual darkness. Divers exploring these systems must exercise extreme caution, as silt stirred from the bottom can reduce visibility to zero instantly. To think that entire seas exist beneath our feet, isolated from sky and weather, ancient waters that have never known sunlight. Fulgurites form when lightning strikes sand. Imagine a bolt carrying millions of volts hitting a beach, instantly heating sand grains to over 30,000 degrees Fahrenheit and fusing them into glass. The result is a fulgurite, a hollow tube following the lightning's path underground, sometimes branching like frozen electricity. These natural sculptures can extend 15 feet deep and are often fragile, branching structures that shatter easily when excavated. The inside surface is glassy smooth where sand melted, while the outside remains rough with unmelted grains. Scientists study fulgurites to understand ancient lightning patterns and atmospheric conditions. In Saharan fulgurites, researchers found glass containing impact debris from meteorites, suggesting lightning struck shortly after an impact. This reminds us that Earth keeps records of sky's violence, preserving lightning's path long after thunder fades. Islands rise from the sea during volcanic eruptions. Picture Surtsey, near Iceland, emerging from the ocean in 1963 during an eruption that continued for 4 years. Scientists watched as waves crashed against glowing lava, as steam billowed in massive clouds, as an island grew from nothing to almost 1 square mile. By 1967, the eruption ended, leaving new land that has been protected as a natural laboratory. Researchers document every plant seed that arrives by wind or bird, every insect species that colonizes, watching evolution and ecology unfold in real time. The island has already lost 1/3 of its area to wave erosion. To think that land birth is visible within human lifetimes, that we can witness the planet building itself from molten rock and seawater. Tree rings reveal centuries of climate in annual bands. Consider a giant sequoia in California's Sierra Nevada, felled by storm in 2015 after living 3,200 years. Dendrochronologists studying its rings found years of abundant rainfall showing as wide bands, droughts compressed into narrow lines barely visible. Frost damage appears as distorted cells. Fire scars mark where flames swept the forest floor. Within these rings lie records of medieval droughts, volcanic eruptions that cooled summers, even the asteroid impact signatures in atmospheric chemistry. Scientists matching ring patterns between living and dead trees have built chronologies extending back 11,000 years in some regions. This reminds us that trees are historians, that every year of their lives is written in wood. A library requiring only patience to read. Glacial erratics are boulders deposited far from their origin. Imagine a rock weighing thousands of tons sitting impossibly in the middle of flat farmland composed of granite found nowhere nearby. Ice Age glaciers plucked these boulders from bedrock, carried them miles frozen in the ice, then dropped them when the glaciers melted. In New York's Central Park, geologists identified rocks carried from mountains in Canada during the last glaciation. Some erratics balanced precariously on bedrock, called perched rocks, defying gravity and time. Native peoples incorporated these mysterious stones into legends, attributing them to giants or gods. Scientists now use erratics to map ancient glacier movements and ice sheet extent. To think that stones travel hundreds of miles embedded in ice, patient migrants moving at the pace of frozen centuries. Sinkholes in the ocean reveal ancient coastlines. Picture the blue holes of the Bahamas, circular underwater caverns hundreds of feet deep, formed when sea levels were lower and rain dissolved limestone above ground. As oceans rose at the end of the last ice age, these cave systems flooded, becoming vertical shafts extending into darkness. Dean's Blue Hole plunges over 660 feet, the deepest known saltwater blue hole. Divers exploring these formations discover stalactites and stalagmites underwater, proof these caves once existed in air. Fossils of extinct species and Lucayan Indian artifacts lie preserved in oxygen-poor water at the bottom. This reminds us that the ocean floor holds memories of when it was land, that seas drown landscapes but cannot erase their bones. The auroras produce sounds some people can hear. Consider the northern lights rippling across Arctic skies, curtains of green and red light following Earth's magnetic field lines. Charged particles from solar wind collide with atmospheric gases, exciting atoms that release photons as they return to ground state. Most people experience auroras as silent light shows, but occasionally observers report hearing hissing, crackling, or clapping sounds synchronized with visual displays. Scientists from Aalto University in Finland recorded these sounds in 2012 and proposed they result from electrical discharges in atmospheric inversion layers about 200 feet above ground. To think that light can make sound, that the solar wind playing across magnetosphere creates not just visual beauty but music too faint and rare for most ears. Petrified forests preserve with cell by cell in stone. Imagine ancient trees buried under volcanic ash, their organic material gradually replaced by dissolved minerals percolating through groundwater. Silica fills individual cells, maintaining the wood structure while transforming it into solid rock. In Arizona's Petrified Forest National Park, trees that grew 225 million years ago now lie as crystallized logs, showing preserved growth rings, bark, texture, and even insect borings. Some logs display stunning colors from iron, manganese, and other minerals. Cross-sections shine when polished, revealing cell structure visible under microscopes. Scientists study petrified wood to understand ancient climates and ecosystems from before flowering plants existed. This reminds us that stone can remember life perfectly, that death preserved carefully enough becomes eternal. Caves house ecosystems that have evolved in darkness for millions of years. Picture Movile Cave in Romania, sealed from the outside world for 5.5 million years, until discovered in 1986. Inside, scientists found 33 species that exist nowhere else on Earth, including spiders, scorpions, and centipedes that have never seen light. The atmosphere contains toxic levels of hydrogen sulfide and almost no oxygen, yet life thrives on chemosynthetic bacteria that metabolize sulfur compounds from groundwater. These creatures have no eyes, no pigmentation, elongated appendages for navigating darkness. Researchers estimate the ecosystem separated from surface life before humans evolved. To think that entire worlds exist beneath our feet, evolving independently in poison air and perpetual night, life-finding paths we never imagined. Deserts contain biological soil crusts that take decades to form. Consider the living skin covering desert ground between plants. A community of cyanobacteria, lichens, mosses, and fungi bonded together. These crusts prevent erosion, fix nitrogen from the air, and allow water infiltration that would otherwise run off bare sand. A single footprint can destroy crust that required 50 to 250 years to develop. In Utah's canyon country, these crusts cover up to 70% of ground between shrubs. Scientists studying them discovered they produce compounds that help seeds germinate and can absorb their weight in water during rare rains. The crusts darken the soil surface, appearing as black patches across tan sand. This reminds us that deserts are not empty, that what seems barren holds communities too small to see but essential to everything that grows. Icebergs can flip suddenly without warning. Imagine a tabular iceberg calved from Antarctica, floating with 9/10 of its mass underwater. As waves erode the submerged portion and the top melts unevenly, the center of gravity shifts. Suddenly, the iceberg rolls, sometimes completely inverting, exposing ice that has been underwater for centuries. This ice often appears stunning blue from compressed air bubbles and lack of surface impurities. In 2019, researchers documented a massive iceberg flip near South Georgia Island, captured on time-lapse photography. The violence of the roll creates waves dangerous to nearby ships. Seals and penguins resting on the surface during a flip face almost certain death. To think that ice mountains can somersault, that stability in polar waters is always temporary, always waiting for the moment balance fails. Rivers of molten sulfur flow on Jupiter's moon, Io. Picture not Earth but the most volcanically active body in our solar system, where tidal forces from Jupiter's gravity squeeze and flex the moon's interior constantly. Scientists observing Io through telescopes have documented over 400 active volcanoes spewing sulfur and sulfur dioxide, hundreds of miles into space. While we cannot walk on Io, understanding its extreme volcanism helps planetary geologists interpret similar processes that shaped early Earth. Voyager 1 captured the first images of Io's eruptions in 1979, revealing alien geology driven by the same internal heat that powers Earth's volcanoes. This reminds us that volcanism extends beyond our world, that molten rock rises wherever celestial mechanics generate heat and pressure. Quicksand becomes more dangerous when you struggle. Consider the physics of sand grains suspended in water, creating a non-Newtonian fluid that behaves differently under stress. When you stand still, water can flow between grains and maintain fluidity. But thrashing movements cause compaction, packing grains together and creating suction that can grip with thousands of pounds of force. Dutch physicist Detlef Loos published research in Nature in 2005 showing that slow circular movements of trapped legs allow water to flow back, gradually loosening the sand's grip. The key is patience, moving limbs at speeds measured in inches per minute. Most quicksand deaths result from exhaustion, exposure, or incoming tides, rather than submersion. To think that survival requires accepting slowness, that panic in quicksand guarantees the very fate you fear. Lake Baikal in Siberia holds more water than all the Great Lakes combined. Imagine the world's deepest lake, plunging over 5,000 feet, containing 20% of Earth's unfrozen fresh water. The lake formed 25 million years ago in a rift where Earth's crust pulls apart, making it both ancient and still growing. More than 360 rivers flow into Baikal, but only one flows out. Scientists have catalogued over 1,800 species living here, 2/3 found nowhere else, including the Baikal seal, the world's only exclusively freshwater seal species. In winter, the lake freezes so clear you can see 130 feet down through the ice. This reminds us that lakes can be as singular as fingerprints, that age and isolation breed uniqueness in water as surely as on islands. Columnar basalt forms when lava cools and contracts into geometric pillars. Picture the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, where 40,000 interlocking basalt columns create a natural pavement of hexagons stretching into the sea. When thick lava flows cool slowly, thermal contraction creates stress that fractures the rock perpendicular to the cooling surface. These fractures propagate downward, creating pillars that are often six-sided due to the efficiency of hexagonal packing. Devil's Tower in Wyoming rises as a cluster of columns over 800 feet high. Scientists studying columnar jointing discovered similar patterns in drying mud and cooling cornstarch, revealing that diverse materials follow identical physics. In a sense, lava remembers geometry, organizing itself into the shapes that mathematics predicts. Salt mines preserve everything in perfect desiccation. Consider the Wieleczka salt mine in Poland, excavated continuously since the 13th century, now containing chambers, chapels, and sculptures carved entirely from rock salt. The salt absorbs moisture from the air, creating a dry environment with constant temperature and humidity. During World War II, Germans stored art treasures in salt mines, and the practice continues with sensitive documents and film reels requiring long-term storage. The Waste Isolation Pilot Plant in New Mexico stores nuclear waste in salt formations 2,000 feet underground, where salt's ability to flow slowly over centuries will eventually encapsulate containers. To think that salt preserves not through cold, but through dryness. That sodium chloride crystals can outlast steel and protect what we need to last millennia. Tectonic plates move at the speed fingernails grow. Imagine the Pacific Plate sliding past the North American Plate along the San Andreas Fault at roughly 2 inches per year. Over human lifetimes, this seems negligible, but over millions of years, continents traverse, oceans. India separated from Gondwana 140 million years ago and collided with Asia 50 million years ago. The impact raising the Himalayas. GPS stations monitoring plate boundaries detect movement accurate 2 millimeters per year. The Atlantic Ocean widens as the Mid-Atlantic Ridge produces new seafloor, pushing Europe and North America apart at about 1 inch annually. This reminds us that the solid ground beneath us is actually flowing, that continents are just passengers on rivers of stone moving through geological time. Bioluminescent waves appear when billions of dinoflagellates flash together. Picture San Diego beaches at night in 2020, where breaking waves glowed electric blue, each whitecap transformed into luminous foam. The phenomenon, called a red tide during the day because of the dinoflagellates' rust-colored concentration, creates nighttime displays that look supernatural. Each microscopic organism contains scintillans, organelles that produce light through chemical reactions when disturbed by wave motion. Scientists believe the flashing startles predators, giving dinoflagellates moments to escape. The displays can extend for miles along coastlines, visible from space. Kayakers paddling through these waters leave glowing trails, and every splash produces a burst of blue light. To think that microscopic life can paint the ocean with light, that billions of tiny flashes combine into beauty visible from orbit. Stalagmites preserve climate records as reliable as tree rings. Consider caves where water drips from ceilings, each drop depositing microscopic layers of calcite. As stalagmites grow upward, they record oxygen isotope ratios that reflect rainfall and temperature when each layer formed. Scientists drilling cores through stalagmites can extract climate data spanning hundreds of thousands of years with seasonal resolution. In 2008, researchers analyzing Chinese cave formations reconstructed Asian monsoon patterns extending back 240,000 years. Unlike tree rings, stalagmites grow in stable cave temperatures, unaffected by fire or drought that might disturb surface records. To think that stone dripping in darkness writes history more faithfully than many living witnesses, that caves are libraries requiring only the right tools to read. Underwater caves contain rivers flowing beneath rivers. Imagine Mexico's cenotes, where fresh rainwater floats atop denser saltwater that has intruded from the ocean. The boundary between these layers, called a halocline, creates optical distortions that make navigation disorienting for divers. Swimmers can see the interface as a shimmering mirror where two waters meet but do not mix. Cave divers have mapped systems where rivers flow in different directions at different depths, fresh water streaming toward the sea above salt water pushing inland. Fossils of Ice Age animals lie preserved in these caves, drowned when rising sea levels flooded passages they had walked through. This reminds us that water layers, like air, that beneath one current another flows, that caves hold dimensions we never suspect from above. The Meraki boulders formed inside mudstone over millions of years. Picture New Zealand's Cocoa Beach, scattered with spherical stones weighing several tons, some cracked open to reveal hollow centers lined with calcite crystals. These concretions grew around organic nuclei, accumulating minerals from surrounding sediment over 4 million years while buried in ancient seafloor. As coastal erosion exposed them, the mudstone weathered away, leaving boulders sitting impossibly round and geometric on the sand. Maori legend describes them as eel baskets washed ashore from an ancestral canoe wreck. Scientists studying their formation found growth rings like trees, though laid down in stone. To think that rocks can grow round as planets, that geometry hidden in mud reveals itself only when exposed by waves and time. Frozen methane bubbles stack like coins beneath lake ice. Picture Abraham Lake in Canada during winter, where thousands of white disks suspend in clear ice at varying depths, creating three-dimensional sculptures. Methane produced by bacteria decomposing organic matter on the lake bottom rises as bubbles that freeze when they contact ice forming above. Each layer of bubbles marks a night of freezing, building vertical columns that trace the gas's path upward. When ice melts in spring, this methane escapes into the atmosphere. Scientists estimate that Arctic lakes and thawing permafrost release millions of tons of methane annually, a greenhouse gas 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide over a century. To think that beauty can be warning, that frozen bubbles document a planet warming, releasing gases trapped for millennia. Rogue waves appear without warning in open ocean. Consider a wall of water rising to 100 feet, twice the height of surrounding swells, steep as a building and just as deadly. These waves form when multiple wave trains coincide, their energies combining into single massive peaks that exist for moments before dissipating. For centuries, sailors reported these monsters, but scientists dismissed them as mythology until 1995, when instruments on Norway's Dropner oil platform recorded an 84-foot wave in moderate seas. Satellite observations now confirm several rogue waves occur daily across Earth's oceans. The Prestige tanker sank off Spain in 2002 after a rogue wave cracked its hull. This reminds us that the sea keeps some violence in reserve, that even routine voyages cross waters capable of sudden mountains. Limestone caves grow by subtraction, while lava tubes grow by addition. Imagine two types of underground passages formed by opposite processes. Acidic water dissolves limestone over millions of years, carving chambers grain by grain, enlarging cracks into rooms that can hold cathedrals. But lava tubes form in hours or days when molten rock flows through its own cooling crust, draining away and leaving tunnels behind. Limestone caves feature stalactites and flowstone decorations built by deposition. Lava tubes show rope textures and drip structures frozen mid-flow, basalt sculptures created by liquid rock. Kazumura Cave in Hawaii extends over 40 miles through hardened lava. Mammoth Cave spans 400 miles through dissolved limestone. To think that caves remember their creation, that passages tell you whether they were carved by patience or born in fire. Desert varnish coats rocks with layers thinner than paper. Picture boulders in the American Southwest, striped with black or reddish-brown patanas that shine like polish. These coatings accumulate over thousands of years as wind-blown dust particles stick to rock surfaces and bacteria oxidize manganese and iron, cementing films of clay minerals mixed with metal oxides. Some varnish layers are only microns thick, yet date back 10,000 years or more. Ancestral Pueblones created petroglyphs by scratching through dark varnish to expose lighter rock beneath, their art preserved by the desert's dryness. Scientists debated varnish formation for decades, until 2006, research confirmed bacterial involvement.